as so like the difference between this probation officer and then the social worker is you can now we can kind of see the difference between the two. But as far as resources that you have available to you, to help these youth, like what kind of resources do they make available for you to help rehabilitate or help them not be so at risk or help them, better their position?
Well, the best resource, it's got to be you as a worker.
Yeah.
That relationship is key to making any difference, any change, and it'll be the same in any sort of helping profession, any sort of they call it like a therapeutic relationship. That's the most important resource. Other than that, it's all going to be dependent on the council, the borough that you're working for. So typically what you'll find is urban councils will have more resources because they've probably got a bit more money and they've got more need.
Yeah.
More rural places will have less resources.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day when I got nicked in Stevenage. I'm seeing a legal aid solicitor, and talking. He was saying in Hertfordshire they get the biggest budget for paedophiles.
Oh, really?
For catching paedophiles.
Oh, wow.
And then there's drugs. Obviously, if you know Hertfordshire, obviously a lot of drugs getting sold and getting used. Obviously, so and in London, when you compare that to London, he was saying, obviously, I knew this as well. In London, they get the biggest budget to solve murder in London. So,
Oh, wow, I had no idea.
yeah. Obviously, you're gonna have more murders in a city, aren't you? In London, obviously, compared to talk about Hertfordshire, it's just outside North London, not far, but yeah. So obviously, yeah, the budgets are allocated accordingly, aren't they?
It depends on the amount of money that borough's got and the problem that they have, and a lot of that will be. Some of that is going to be down to politics.
Of course,
and,
yeah.
What is being highlighted in the media.
Yeah.
And they'll plough money into certain resources to help ameliorate that problem.
100%.
So, e.g., county lines is a big problem now. It's been talked about in the media. Lots of people know what it is.
Of course, yeah.
Money's been ploughed into that.
Yeah.
And it's been ploughed into
it's in the mainstream
boroughs,
now, isn't it? County lines, that term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why money's been ploughed into it.
Yeah,
People
of course, yeah.
are watching
Politics.
and they're thinking, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
What can we do to help these young people?
Yeah.
From these these evil drug gangs.
Yeah.
So that's where the money's being ploughed into. So to elaborate, to answer your question, some of the resources might be certainly like mental health workers. Mental health is there's a pandemic of mental health problems amongst young people now, and that's been exacerbated by.
But usually the police are sent there as well. Sorry to cut you off, but usually police are sent to deal with people with mental health, and then that's when a lot of problems happen, and people are saying instead of police getting sent to deal with people that have got mental health, you know what I'm saying, it should be more like people like yourself or people that are working in mental health, people that are actually trained to deal with people that are, I've got severe mental health. So
I agree.
There's that element too.
And
I think you raise a really interesting point there about the fact that as of recently, like something that's been going on, like the pandemic, and how that's kind of changed the things that you're seeing. Like there's a lot more mental. So that's something you're seeing firsthand. Like there's a lot more mental health with youth. It's really affected them in that way. You're actually seeing that firsthand as well.
Yeah, from my own anecdotal experience, yes, and certainly from what other people are saying, because I might have a small caseload of people, and I can't say that's representative of the country, but you're hearing a lot, and I'm hearing from a lot of colleagues that, hey, people's mental health has been massively affected by lockdown, and that's where a lot of resources are being ploughed into that. Like mental health workers and that kind of thing. So that's the picture at the moment. That's the outcome of the recent lockdowns.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with anyone that's been charged with murder?
I actually have.
Yeah, because obviously you work with young people, and what a lot of people are not aware is how many young children, especially in the streets of London, are being charged with murder and are committing murder. I mean, when we're talking young, we're talking under 16. You know, when you think about prisons like Feltham, plenty of young people that have been charged with murder. And I'm talking again under 16. I'm talking 15. You know, so this is almost like swept under the rug.
Yeah, a lot of people would be extremely surprised.
This is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
how many people actually
that young
really
you're getting charged with,
because it doesn't get. You don't see. I mean, you hear about all types of things that happen, like people getting shot up the road, like loads of things happen. But it doesn't. You don't see it. Always see it in the media.
Exactly.
But then there's other things that end up in the media, like I don't know, like the Hyde Park situation, for example.
Yeah,
and things like that.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we're gonna get to that one there. But have you worked with anyone that's been charged?
I have, and
how old were they?
So they were like 16, and
See, there you
I've been asked by people, how do you work with someone that's committing something so heinous? Like, I couldn't do that, and I find it not difficult, because when you're working with a human being, and I find that when you're working with a human being, I just act human and just find out a bit about them. And generally, before we work with someone, or before I work with someone, we'll know a bit about their background already, because we have that bit of history about them. It humanises them, and essentially part of our role is to add a bit of colour to to basically writing, black and white. So a lot of people that enter the system, they're a number and they're just a bunch of words. They're just their offence, essentially. Yeah. So if you commit a robbery, you're a robber. If you commit a murder, you're a murderer. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you commit a drug offence, you're a dealer or you're a drug user. Yeah. And part of our job, or what I see my job, is actually just trying to add a bit of colour to that and say, hey, this person's a human, they've had their experiences, they've got their narrative, these are the reasons that I think they're offending, this is what contributes to it, this is how it can be ameliorated, this is how it can be made better. And that's part of the job, because when young people go to court, and court can be quite intimidating for most.
Yeah, definitely.
For others, it's not at all.
Yeah. Not everyone's built to go up against a prosecutor. You've got a jury in front of you, and then you got the judge there. Oh man, yeah, the prosecutor and your barrister on the right. Yeah, so
it can be scary, but part of our job part of my job, I write what we call pre-sentence reports. So once a young person is convicted,
just like a probation,
bad
thing.
The court will request that the yacht prepare a pre-sentence report. Yeah, I'd be the author. Yeah, we'd be given like 3 or 4 weeks to write that report. Right. Most of the time, probation officers are given a much shorter time.
Okay, so basically, someone is killed or is charged of a murder under your watch. I would imagine they're looking more into your work with the young person, right?
Well,
is there sort of a protocol if that person is charged with a murder or is killed?
Well, first of all, that person has to be found guilty.
Convicted, obviously.
Or, so convicted, essentially. So if I have a found guilty or plead guilty
scrutinise
to murder,
you would imagine.
If it's a murder, then in some cases, the worker, that young person that was on that worker's caseload, their work could be scrutinised, and it could be scrutinised for a lot of reasons. If it's a high profile case, then it's likely it will be scrutinised. they might do some sort of like serious case review or something, just to see whether anything could have been done to prevent it or to manage that person's risk in the community.
Yeah.
So
it's not like they can send you to jail. Or
No,
they think like, okay, you didn't do a good enough job of keeping this person alive or stopping this person
you're right.
from committing.
You're right, because at the end of the day, if it was me, I didn't commit that murder.
Well,
that young person made a decision,
Yeah.
which unfortunately someone might have lost someone lost their life.
Yeah.
However, we're in a culture, particularly in my line of work,
Yeah.
where fingers are pointed and people look for accountability. So who's accountable for this?
Yeah.
It's have to roll in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Protocol, innit?
and like you said, the heads have to roll. They'll start looking and scrutinizing people's work to see, okay, what could have been done to help prevent that young person from committing that from committing that act.
So many people don't know, like, behind the scenes. So there's so much, like bureaucracy in it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sometimes I watch the news, and you hear these high-profile murders. It can be adults, it could be young people, and the first thing I think is, gosh, man, I hate to be the probation worker. I hate to be the yacht worker dealing with that. I think you've got that on your back. You have to write, someone's head's been chopped off, and you have to write a report about that. And it's on the news, and someone's head's gonna spin. Someone's gonna lose their job. Someone's getting a P45 sent through the post, possibly.
Yeah.
So I try not to think about those things because, unfortunately, I think there's a culture in our job where we do things not because we want to help, but we do things because we don't want to lose our jobs.
Yeah.
And there's a difference there. And I like to think that I do things because I'm helping. And the moment where I'm thinking to myself, I'm just doing it because it's a job and I don't want to do it, for me means that I shouldn't be in that job.
It's not the line of work.
100%. Doing way more than a police officer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing way. Supposedly, feds are there to react to crime. Aren't they? Really and truly.
We got our tensions with the police. We have our tensions with the police. So
can you expand on that a bit?
So our remit as the yacht would be primarily to prevent reoffending.
Yeah.
So a young person would have offended
What, the police
already.
have got a problem with that?
Well, it seems like the police have got a different agenda. And I'm not a police officer. I have worked with a lot because you will have at least one police officer attached to each youth offending team anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And that police officer, they'll be employed by the police, but they'll work within the youth offending team. So they get to see our side of things.
Yeah.
Part of our job is to hopefully make police see the other side of young people that they're arresting.
Yeah.
And I guess for the police, it's all about getting convictions. It's all about arresting people, handcuffing people, catching criminals essentially, because that's what they are. Yeah. And our job is to try and prevent young people being in those situations where the police are going to catch them and arrest them. So sometimes there can be a tension between us where they have to share intel with us. They'll want intel from from myself or from us as a service, but we don't want to breach the trust of the young people.
Yeah, of course.
So we've got a relationship with them. The police sometimes will try and use us to try and get information. And that's always a precarious situation because the most important relationship is always going to be the one that you have with the young person. Because if they think you're a snitch or grass, whatever, that's it.
You've lost them.
You've lost them, and they will not engage with you, and you will not be able to do any effective work to try and prevent it.
And a lot of the time, you're the last, literally the last option for them, or the last person that's going to care enough to do anything and try to help them in their situation. So if you lose that, then that's all they really have. So
it's definitely it's a tension. Most young people that come through our doors that I've worked with,
Yeah.
the majority of them engage really well. They actually like the kind of structure of sessions that we'll offer them, because we do offer a bit of structure, someone that they can trust. They don't all see us as just authority, but every now and again you get some
sessions
really.
are you talking?
So it might be sessions on knife weapons awareness.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we'll call it like consequential thinking. So thinking,
Yeah.
basically thinking before you're acting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be a bit of education
Yeah.
on we'll call them psychosocial interventions.
Yeah.
So it's about getting them to think about what they're doing before they do it.
Man's been a thinking skills program,
You know?
isn't?
And we'll do that one-to-one with them. And if you've got a good relationship, people, young people will listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? It could be something about like drug use, but in all honesty, anything to do with drug. We also coordinate. So if there's something you can't do, there'll be another service that will be able to do it for you.